Wow, this screen is incredible.
Wow. This is how most people in Africa first experience the internet. Not on a computer, on a Chinese smartphone. Brands most Silicon Valley people never heard of, but brands that have transformed the entire Africa's market region. Africa's digital economy is growing fast. 17% annually. By 2050, it will have 2.5 billion people, the youngest and fastest growing population. In 2025, everyone thought African startups were there. Then $3.1 billion in funding happened. That's not a theory. The story is where they captured smuggling and where it means for founders building globally. Western markets took a century to build telecom infrastructure. Africa skipped 8 years. It went directly to mobile. Chinese manufacturers built phones for actual conditions for African life. Thermal battery life for unstable electricity, dual SIM for telecom flexibility, affordable pricing, camera calibrated for dark skin tones, hardware durable for enough real world. Apple is optimizing for existing infrastructure. These brands were creating the infrastructure. That's the single decision to build for reality instead of an aspiration. They created an entire digital ecosystem. Suddenly, millions of Africans had access to mobile money and leapfrogged banking by 100 years. E-commerce platforms, social networks, creator opportunities, and cross-border commerce, all because they could access and they could afford the device. Mobile technology went from nice to have to critical infrastructure. In 2024, it contributed 8% of Africa's GDP. Projections show it's hitting 15-20% by 2028. That's not a trend, that's an economic reorganization, and it's not uniform across the continent. Kenya built the world's most sophisticated mobile money ecosystem. Nigeria created the fintech unicorns that could compete globally. South Africa's e-commerce infrastructure rivals developed markets. Uganda's startup ecosystem is producing founders full scale across the continent. Egypt's digital services market is attracting enterprise customers from Europe and America. Each market is specialized, each variable, each is available. This is what's actually happening in 2026. Africa is not choosing between growth and stagnation. It's choosing between urgency and dependency, between building the skills and the infrastructure that allows African founders to lead a company's transformation, or importing capability from the outside, the cost of ownership, margin, and self-determination. 3.1 billion raised in 2025. That's just capital. The real question is, who's building what? Are the African founders building African businesses, or are they building for foreign investors at the cost of their own agency? The founders who are winning right now, they understand the distinction. They're building on their own terms. The advisors who understand the three markets, not one. Most startup trainings teach you to build product, build the market fit, optimize the unit economics. All those matter, but here's what no one talks about. Your idea is worth zero if you can't communicate it. I watched this in Fasix Lab cohorts in Bahrain. I saw it in Startup Uganda pitch events.
Our growth trajectory is solid. Welcome aboard, let's scale this. Let's execute this vision together. This partnership unlocks massive value.
You don't get investment. The investor sees uncertainty, not conviction. You don't lose clients. Your competitors with better communication wins. You don't build effective teams. Direction becomes unclear. You don't create strategic partnerships. Negotiation becomes a friction. But when you have a genuine communication skill, funding conversations become infinitely easier. Client acquisition becomes predictable. Team building becomes easier. Strategic partnerships happen. The authority and thought leadership components. A business becomes fundable. In 2020, I started working with one of the world's leading communication coaches, Associate Professor Dennis Pesci, at Public Speaking Leadership Solutions, Uganda. The mission was simple: build communication capability in African professionals.
Geography is now zero barrier. Cost is now reduced 80%.
The real professional context. The limitation of in-person training is geographical. The coaching session produces transformation results for the person in the room. But what about the professional in Guru, in Bara, Alwa, across the border in Kenya? An e-learning platform removes these barriers. The geography, you don't need to be in Kampala. the schedule. You don't need to align your variability. In cost, you pay a fifth of the price of the in-person training. That's when it becomes a coordinatorship. This is what most advisors get from. They work in one market, Silicon Valley, Lagos, Bahrain. One network, one mental model, one set of assumptions. But founders building for the next decade aren't staying in one place. They're building for the world. Africa has 1.5 billion people. By 2050, 2.5 billion people, the youngest and fastest growing population on the planet. It's a digital economy. It's growing at 17% annually. It's produced fintech unicorns, logistics unicorns, and healthtech unicorns. But here's the problem. Most promising founders can't access the capital, the market validation, the geographic distribution networks to scale beyond the home markets. They trap locally despite building globally. The Gulf startup ecosystem is the most underappreciated in the world, not weak, underappreciated. 46 Labs investing $30,000 to $250,000 per startup, 100 scale. Sam King, Bahrain Sovereignty Labor Fund, deliberately building entrepreneurship infrastructure. Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia's massive investment economic transformation. These capital sources, most African startups have to route through European or American intermediaries to access. Is what Africa frequently lacks. Sovereignty, wealth fund, regulatory clarity for fintech, fintech regulatory sandboxes, proximity to global financial infrastructure. Africa's founders need the Gulf capital. Gulf founders need Africa's market. The connection requires an advisor in bulk. America isn't where most startups begin. It's where they want to scale globally. It's where the ones who want to scale globally need to arrive. Infrastructure has changed. There are business inbox, social security numbers needed. Suddenly, a Ugandan e-commerce founder can launch an Amazon FBA operation without hiring.
Form a U.S. company from anywhere with instant formation and merchant access.
Decades. The regulatory arbitrage, that's the opportunity. And it's not only working if your advisor understands all the three markets. Single market advisors are becoming obsolete. The founders who will win will have advisors who understand the three markets. Where the people are, Africa, where the capital is, the Gulf, and where the scale infrastructure is, America. That's the three model. If you're a Bahrain fintech and you want to enter Ugandan market, you don't just launch. You need market entry intelligence. What's the regulatory environment? Who are the existing players? What's the customer behavior? And what's the distribution strategy? What's the pricing sensitivity? These are the generic questions, most specific, answerable, and they determine whether your company scales or gets trapped in one local market. That's where market entry intelligence means. An advisor who understands and spends years in each market understands these answers intuitively. An advisor without that experience is just guessing. The second layer of a multi-market advisory is a growth system structure. You just don't